So I was told a dilemma by someone. So someone told me a dilemma, yeah. I'm going to share it with you so you give me your thoughts. Yeah. So I own a 2-bed flat with my partner. I want to essay it, but she wants to run it long term. I'm happy to deal with the day-to-day management, but she doesn't want any part of it. What should I do?
So they have a 2-bed together, but one person wants to do service accommodation, the other person wants to just rent it normally.
Yeah. So he's all right with doing the day-to-day stuff of like SA management, but she doesn't want any part of it.
And they both own the property.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I feel like you can at least give it a try. I feel like you should always try something once and then decide whether or not it works for you. Because really and truly, with service accommodation, especially if it's your own property, you should do it up, but you don't actually have to do it up. Remember, like, we're working with one in Basingstoke.
Yeah.
And theirs is not done up, and they get long-term bookings because you can just tell it's someone's house who's, you know, you get those Airbnbs, you know, someone's lived there. Someone has definitely
put it online.
There. Yeah.
Done a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like they can at least try for, like, let's say six months during the summer period, see how it goes. If they're not happy with it, then just get regular tenants.
I think
because summer would be the most popular, so you wouldn't have to have the kind of worry of not really making rent and like not rent, but obviously your mortgage and all your bills.
Yeah. Obviously, I'll tell you, like, make sure that obviously it's in a place that's good for SA. But then, as you said, like, there's no harm in it, because if you do it up and get the furniture and say it doesn't work, when you want to rent it out, you've got a fully furnished place that you can rent out and get higher rent for it.
But then I guess for the other person, why should they have to do service accommodation if it's working so well for them and they like, because you never know the reason. The reason might be that they live far from the property. It might be the fact that it's difficult to manage. It might be the fact that they know if they turn it into a service accommodation, they have to spend more money on it, right? Which means like revamping the property.
Yeah.
So what if they're just not in that space
within reason,
right now?
Yeah. I mean, if you're not in that space right now, don't force it.
How do you like? I mean, I guess you are asking like me, but then how do you regulate that if one person wants to do a strategy that is very risky but can have great benefits, but the other person wants to do something a little bit more safe but has the consistency? How do you then, like, of income, obviously?
Yeah.
How do you then
split it?
Yeah.
Because like if the person decides to do SA, and then starts raking in the money, but you didn't want any part of it, so.
Well, then they both would be raking in the money, really, because they both own the property.
Yeah.
But
one person's managing, one person's just like, well, it is what it is.
Do you think the person who's managing should make more?
Nah, do you know what? It has to be 50-50. But there has to be...
Even if the other person's like, I don't want any part of this.
Well...
Like, count me out. I'm not doing any work with it. I don't want to deal with the guests. Any kind of faults and stuff like...
because then you're just absolving any responsibility, because even with long term, you have to deal with guests anyway. Not guests.
Tenants. To a
degree. Do you know what I mean?
But maybe they haven't had to deal with tenants. Maybe they haven't experienced that because their tenants have been so good.
Yeah, but you can't, as a landlord, you can't say, I don't want to deal with tenants, because that's when you give it over to the agents. In that case...
Yeah,
the agents take a management fee, so then let that person who's managing in the relationship take a fee plus that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a hard one. I don't actually know the answer for that.
I'll tell you,
that is a hard one.
Speak on all aspects of it. If you can't meet a common ground, just leave it running how it is. That's what I would say, to be fair. But if you can find a common ground that...
But then is it common ground then? Because if you can't meet a common ground, then... It's not really common ground if the other person wants to do service accommodation.
No, yeah, it is. Well, it
not
is
really. If they don't want to do it, if they no longer want to do the normal way or the known way of renting out your property,
yeah,
how is that meeting common ground?
But if it's been running like long term lets from time ago, then I guess if you can't find a way to, like, you know, meet in the middle, just leave it as it is.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that. Really.
Yeah,
you're not.
Yeah, no, I do get it. I think it's a difficult question because obviously it's two people. I mean, this is what happens in business partnerships. So if you don't agree, how do you find the middle ground? What is the common ground?
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But you have to find out why the person doesn't want to do X, Y, and Z. It's like
but even if you find out why, Like, what are you really going to say when you find out the why? If they're just like, I just don't want to do it.
But why though?
But I just don't want to do it.
That's not going to stand in court.
But no, but we're not in court.
No,
I just don't want to do it.
I understand that.
Then what? Do you know?
But, yeah,
that's
but
my point. Then what? Like, okay, cool. They just don't want to do it. They have no reason.
But we have a responsibility
reason.
together though. Which is this property.
And I'm making sure that the money comes in month by month by doing it like a normal rental.
Well, again, as I said, like if it's been running a certain way, you can't change it unless everyone or the majority are on board.
So there's only 2 people.
Exactly. So then you can either be 2 of you or that's it.
Yeah, exactly. So they just have to keep it the normal way, right?
Exactly. That's what I said.
Yeah, but okay. I get what you're saying.
You're
but
saying
my point is it still, that's still not common ground. That's still like it's just by default we have to keep it the same, but it's not necessarily common ground.
It's not necessarily common ground, but it's the best place to be rather than you're both unhappy and then you're both unhappy and you try something new, because then it's like when it doesn't work, it's for the person who wanted to try something new, it's even more egg on their face. Do you know what I mean?
Might take it personally if it was me, to be honest.
It's not every day take things personally.
I know. Which brings us on to the next bit, to be honest. So I feel like of recent, I don't know if you'd agree, but we've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of people about balancing our personal life with the business life. And how we're managing that. It's really difficult to get into this because you also don't want to offend anyone.
Who are you trying to offend?
No one. You always ask me this question every single time. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but it's like sometimes by telling your truth saying your truth, it's a bit tricky because you've got to use stories to explain your truth, which other people have said to you. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
So it's like if someone has said something to you, but you were offended or upset by the way in which it was said, or do you know what I mean? How do you repeat that with not offending the other person? Anyway, my point is...
Can you give examples of, like, the stories that you said you're going to have to use? You can use examples maybe.
Yeah. But I'm saying things like, okay, so for example, with personal, I feel like a lot of questions that have been happening since starting the business is things like when we're going to get married. And I feel like that question really frustrates me because I have a number of reasons, yeah? And my main one is, why do they always ask the girl? Because if I'm sure you wouldn't want me to get down on one knee and ask you.
No, definitely
There we go. And I would not want to get down. I would never get down on one knee and ask you.
Yeah.
So I feel like that question does offend me greatly because like, why the hell would you ask me like it's in my control?
No, but again, just tradition in society is most of the time is the women that are asking, when are you going to marry me?
But come on.
It sounds like it's a desire of the woman to be like, so when are you going to get married? It's kind of like...
But if you're asking the woman and what am I supposed to answer? December. But I don't know if it's December. It doesn't make sense. Why ask the woman who has no control? It depends how you want to navigate your relationship.
I get what you mean. Like,
if you're happy to kind of be the person as a female to ask, but I'm not about that life. I'm so sorry. That is not for me at all, and I would never.
There are some people that wouldn't mind that.
I think that's okay. Just not me.
Yeah. No, I get it. I feel like sometimes, I don't know, if you was to do it, I'd have to say no.
You have to, and if I was to do it,
no.
You'd have to sign me into a mental health facility because I don't know if I'd be complete. Because it's just so against what I feel. I completely understand, and sometimes I even find it quite romantic when a woman does it towards a man. Or, do you know what I mean? When the female proposes towards a man. Sometimes I do find it romantic in certain situations, but it just could never be me. When they want to express
how much they love you.
Yeah, but it just could never be me.
But you can do all that without proposing. Do you know what I mean?
No, but the whole point is the proposal. The whole point is... But my point stands of, like, I don't think it's necessarily fair that every time there's a question, that question includes... when are you going to get married? I feel like that question I've had so often. Even when we've been at, like, people's events and people be like, oh my gosh, you guys have been together so long. When are you getting married? And it's like, why don't you ask me how my business is going?
Yeah.
Why don't you ask me how my business is going?
Yeah. But I do feel like, because I get what you mean. Like,
trying so hard not to reveal myself.
Your upskirt.
The upskirt is such an old person. What's an upskirt?
I don't know.
That's very Caribbean. I'm sure that's a Caribbean word. Mind your upskirt.
But you know what I'm talking about, though. Exactly.
Upskirt.
But yeah, like I do get that. Obviously, that question frustrates you. I guess.
Does it frustrate you the same level or no?
It does. It does. It does. But I feel like I hide it differently. Because
I don't think you hide it differently. I think you express it differently.
express it. Go on.
Yeah, I feel like...
Explain yourself.
Explain yourself. I feel like you're a bottle.
Okay.
And a bottle usually has a lid. And the lid must be opened for the fizz to come out, right? But
You're saying every now and again I blow my lid.
Not when you put it like that.
Pause.
But yes, I feel like that's pretty much you. Like, you might take a comment for like a long time, but then once you hit your fizz, like how, like a bottle when you shake the bottle.
Yeah.
I feel like that's your max.
Yeah.
And then you do react to it. Because we have had conversations in the car when you've been like, you're feeling the pressure because obviously I know your intention not to out you. Is it safe to say? Depends. Edit, cut it out, cut the cameras. I feel like you have expressed feeling like pressure from other people, which you then have thought has also possibly, because of how they've thought, you thought that's what I've internalized as well. Yeah. And sometimes I actually have, but I'm also what people need to understand, and I get really annoyed about having to explain this, is the fact that I can't say that I want to get married without people thinking that I'm desperate to be married. Yeah. Of course I want to be married. I also want to have kids, but it doesn't mean I want to have kids today. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like, I feel like when I'm expressing I want to be married, that is my end goal. But I'm also very aware of where we're at in the business. And we also have such regular conversations about marriage, when that's going to happen, when that's the right timing for both of us. Yeah. And I feel like when a girl says, oh yeah, we've been talking about marriage and like we're waiting, that I feel like there's often like this impression that the girl is making excuses for the guy and it's living like a Delulu land. But like, we genuinely have conversations. Like, I don't have to prove that we have conversations. Yeah. Which is why when people address me so much about when we're getting married, I'm like, mind your business. First of all, you won't be invited. So don't ask me.
No. Behave.
First of all, okay, maybe second of all, they won't be invited.
See, this is why I can't just let you just go off because
it's not.
You just do things.
Yeah, I just do things.
Just do things.
It's not my fault. I'm just a girl. Anyways, but yeah.
I do feel like, again, it's important that we have regular chats because as we had a conversation, I might understand where I am or where we are or have an idea of where we are and automatically assume that you're on the same page. Yeah. But if I don't express that, I won't know. So I could be thinking, like she knows that I've got every intention to do X, Y, and Z.
Tell him.
But if I haven't...
Tell it to the camera. For the people who keep asking me questions.
You're going to click this and send it to them?
Yes.
Don't even put no caption, just send it.
Every time people ask me, are you going to get married? Just send that clip. He has every intention. Leave me alone.
But but it's very important that obviously we have that conversation and understand where we are. I think why it's very annoying when we get that question is because I feel like if we hadn't started the business together, we would have been married.
I agree.
We would have been
definitely
would have been a couple kids down, halfway to the five-a-side team.
Don't push it.
Right, fair enough.
Don't push it.
Fair enough.
Do not push
my bad. Offside.
Maybe one, but I think
we'll see.
Yeah. Anyways.
But I definitely think. I think when we started the business, we knew it would be a commitment. We didn't realize how big of a commitment.
Yes.
But also, I do believe that when a lot of people do ask, they don't understand how marriage is like security. Do you know what I mean? So people in life just want to be secure. We also have committed to a form of security with joining a business together. Yeah. But that's not a traditional way that people understand.
People don't recognize that the commitment in itself is being in business together.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean?
So much can go wrong, to be honest.
So much can go wrong, but like we're kind of tied into an agreement already. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's what kind of I think that's what gets to me, because it's like you don't know the situation. But how about you ask me? Ask me first.
Don't ask me.
No. But ask me from a non-judgmental.
It's not even judgmental. It's nosy. Standpoint. It's nosiness. I feel like, how dare you come up to me in any event? How dare you come up to me pull me aside and ask me when I'm going to get married, it is none of your business.
It's that one. It's the pulling aside, because you know, it's the equivalent of if your brethren's come to meet you with the group of friends and you notice that they're looking kind of rough, so you pull them to the side and ask them if everything's okay. It's kind of equivalent of that. Like, is everything all right? Like,
well, yes, because the intention there is pure, but it's actually like not appropriate timing, it's not appropriate space. It's like, and also, I just feel, for me, I get the innocence behind it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that anybody who asks me, are we going to get married, has bad intentions. I'm not saying that at all. However, I'm saying that they've got to think about the impact on the person that they're asking. And like, that really bothers me, because it's like, do you not see how hard I'm working? Like, do you not see how hard, like, do you think we're just playing games? Like, is it just that you think we just, today we just wanted to get into property, spend all our money and all our savings that would have been savings for a house, that would have been a savings for a wedding, and throw it into property just because? Like, no. Obviously we have goals that we want to achieve, and we're very aware of like our timeline. And that's not to say that no one's ever ready, right? Because I know that's going to be the next comeback. Like, no 100%. One's ever ready for marriage.
But I also feel like, you know, if anything was thrown into our equation, again, I'm someone who likes to plan vigorously. Do you know what I mean?
Spontaneous.
But even still, I do feel like whatever situation that we would face together, we would just actually make it work. Regardless. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't mean that we don't want to just set ourselves up in the best way that we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I know that, again, it's like, if it came down, it was the same time, like this year, next year, and we hadn't been married and stuff, like, then it would be an even more serious conversation. And I know that, but I also am aware that right now we're in the process of in the part of our business where the grind is so important. And like, they're spending lavishly, it can't run. It can't go on. It can't go on. It literally can't go on.
Yeah. 100.
So I feel 100%. Like it's an annoying, that question is really annoying for me. But also in personal, that I feel that people don't really understand is like us being fake busy.
I'll get onto that in a second. I just wanted to ask what you said about what did you just say just before that? You said something. Lost my train of thought.
Will not allow that.
Yeah, you can't
go back.
Yeah,
boy,
it's crazy.
That's
innit?
gone.
It's crazy.
You
flipped a couple.
Yeah, man. I've already jumped the hurdles. Like,
I was saying, I was gonna say, like, so flip reverse. What if the mindset of someone asking you whether, like, when you're gonna get married, is more because they're thinking you have everything else, and why not that?
I feel like I could have everything in the world. I could be the happiest person in the world. I could be living a life of luxury. It's none of your business to ask me when I'm going to get married, because you're not the one marrying me, and you're also not me. I just think, you know, it's one of them questions.
Very blunt, but it's very
It's true though. And I feel like we allow people to ask us, especially as females, like, oh, you know, you guys have been together for 2 years now. Like, when are you, and that's always a question. As soon as you hit that 2-year mark, it's when are you going to have kids? And when are you going to get married? And it's like, why do you think it's actually okay? The bit I can't get over is not that people sit us down together. That's the rarity. But those who pull me aside and have the conversation. And I think, what do you wish for me to... What would you like...
If you have that conversation with both of us where you can get both our points of views at the same time.
I do say ask him. I'm so sorry. I do say ask, because it does grind my gears. Like, I'm annoyed. Like, what do you want... Like, what's the right answer? What do you want me to say? Like, how do I respond in that manner? So I just think... I know there's no ill will or bad intention with asking, but I feel like it's not something I'm going to accept anymore. And it's boring. That's not all I am. Like, a woman who's just here to be married and have kids. Like... It's not all I am, and it's not all I want to be. So it's like, pay attention to that rather than thinking that the only thing that defines me is if I'm going to be married tomorrow or not, and if I'm going to have kids. Like,
because if we choose to live together, if we had everything else but didn't get married, would you then not say?
And we've always spoken about. That's another thing that we've always spoken about. Of course, our intention, especially with Faith, that we do want to be married, but we're also not in the rush, because we also know, like, our companion, like, we know. Do you know what I mean? Like,
soul tied.
Okay, this is getting very weird. But we know, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not got to 11 years October just from, well, you know, Just being, like, everything that we've done has been planned for the future,
Yeah.
And for a long time, we were just living our best lives. And we realised we couldn't live that way because we were one check away from being broke.
Yeah.
And we didn't even realise because we lived
were
in a
having
house.
fun.
We had a lovely car. We had 2 cars that we could run about with.
Yeah.
Like, we are the friends that you go out with and we basically pay for a lot. Like, we are those friends. And it's like, people are not, again, it's another thing that's changing because we can't be paying for a lot because there are expenses. I'm not working, I pay myself from the business at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, that also I've seen a shift. And I don't think intentionally, but
it's like
people don't get it.
People look sideways.
Yeah.
Now, if we're not the first ones to jump up and be like, yeah, I'll pay for that.
Yeah.
Or I'll get the round in.
Yeah.
Or what you having?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like most of the time, and then now when they look at us, or like I'm just speaking from my example, my experience, it's like, I don't know, they think like, what's wrong with Sean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Sean must be pissed off or something because you know he hasn't offered. Do you know what I mean? And I know that's probably not the straightforward thought process, but I know that's what's happening. Do you know what I mean? Because as soon as like. Yeah, you know, I was even going to say an experience, but I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to leave it.
Don't us out. We need to.
I'm just going to leave it there because that's going to rehash something. Yeah.
And it's not. The thing is, it's not even everyone. It's like I would hope the people who know that they've been consistent and good friends know that, and the people who feel like they haven't been, maybe it sparks something. I don't know, but I do feel like there is a definite change for us, especially that shift because. I feel like we've understood broke now we started a business. Yeah. Like, I feel like we were fake broke before. It's like, money, cost of living.
Yeah, we were comfortable. We were in our own bubble.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was fine.
If we wanted to go on holiday the next day, we could go on holiday the next day. If we wanted to book a weekend, like, all it came down to was booking annual leave. Like, that's literally all it came down to. And it's not to say, we were rich. We were comfortable. But in that moment, we thought we were like good. Like, And I think we've always known as well in terms of like earning that we have been 2 people who have been able to earn quite fast and like level up within our positions. Yeah. And I think, again, we're both people who started working from early. A lot of people start working from early, but we've been consistent. I remember when I was doing the social work jobs and they overlapped. For like a month. So
you was working like
I was working 2 jobs. 2
laptops. It's like,
bro, and if you know social work, it's not possible. When I told someone that I was interviewing with that I had an overlap, she said, first of all, how did you not get caught? Second of all, how the hell did you manage that? She's like, I've never heard that. So it's like, that's the kind of people we are. It's like, we don't just stop. So I'm not shocked that we've fallen into business. I just think that what took us so long is that we didn't know how to. And we didn't know what we wanted to do. What we were passionate about. And that was mainly the problem. So we're having like service accommodation questions. Why wouldn't there be pens?
Yeah, but you know what? That's what the last person's... Well, she's asked for more pens.
What, in Padworth?
Yeah.
Can you message Louise from my phone and just say it's you? She responds nicely to you.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can multitask.
I can try.
But yeah, I don't know. I think I've definitely seen, like, without the spending that we used to spend, there's definitely been a difference in alignment with like friendships or when we go out.
What about you're saying about the fake busy, so the availability. I think that's something that is really triggering. Really triggering.
That happens to us. I think in a week, people thinking that we're fake busy happens to us maybe about 3 times in the week. And I don't think I'm even exaggerating. It'll be small things. And maybe we've got to look at ourselves because maybe we're internalizing it because we're trying so hard to prove to people that we're actually doing things. But like, I feel like a lot of people will say to us, like, ask us to do tasks in the middle of the week. Like, we haven't had a whole week scheduled and planned where we basically don't get a break. Like, this week has been so bad, we've been trying to nap in between. I've been forcing myself not to nap in between. But obviously, you've been on early shifts. Like, people don't realise you're up from 4. I don't go back to sleep because...
And I'm driving as well, which is taxing.
You're driving. Then from that work, you've been to Reading. Then from there, it's like you come back home. Then there's somebody else who's put another task. And it's like, can you do this by Saturday? And it's like, you know, or what? It's like different situations where we are overwhelmed, but people don't actually think we're busy because people just see the results. They don't see the running up and down and the long hours, or like when we're finished with our mentees and finished with tutoring, what time that finishes, when we finish a meeting. Someone said to me the other day, because I had a call and it was something like dumb o'clock, like 9:30. This was like a little while back. And someone said to me, I said, oh no, I was going to leave. I meant to meet up with some friends. I was like, I've got to leave because I've got a meeting at 9:30. And they're looking at me weird, like she's defo lying.
Yeah.
She's defo lying. And then it's not until I explain the next day, like the reason and the purpose. Oh, okay. So I feel like people just feel like we use the business to like be like, no, sorry, we're not available. It's actually, we feel like we're missing out so much because of the business. And it's like sacrifices that we do have to make because like, yeah, we just don't have that. There's no other option. We just have nobody else to do the running around for us.
And we're the type of people as well that if we can be there for people, 100%, 2000%, we will be there with whatever they need.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then as soon as that, we realized that we couldn't keep doing that and have time for the business amongst everything else that we're doing. So we knew that something had to give. And to be honest, I knew that something like, just being available and for everyone, that can't run, that has to be cut back, for at least a year, or at least 2 years.
Yeah.
And it annoyed me when I realized that some people couldn't understand that.
Yeah.
They couldn't understand why. I mean, yes, I'm bad with my phone anyway, but sometimes I just need, like, I'm sorry, but I've been on the phone all day. Yeah. I've been at work all day. I've been sorting things out all day. My mind's been ticking.
Yeah.
I don't want to answer your call right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to answer your call right now. I don't want to head here to sort out something that just benefits you and not me because you're used to me saying yes to your help.
Even as we're talking now, I mean? It's like we're getting something that you've got to deal with. Like people don't realize, like I don't know. Obviously I know that it's not common courtesy to be on your phone whilst you're like with people or like engaging with people whilst you're out. But what people don't realize is like notifications come through literally at any given moment. Like we can't plan it. Do you know what I mean? There's been times where we've driven up to Reading 11 p.m. because situations have happened. And we have to work the next day or we've got something to do the next day and we've got to be up early. There's been times where we've slept like 3 hours and then had to do something else the next day, or we've had flights, or we've had commitments that we've got to complete. And I think people just don't get it. Like people just don't get it.
Or even if we're not doing the things where we're having to run around or do anything like that, but we're having meetings to structure certain things in the business. Those meetings are still taxing on the mind, and you have to come with material. You can't just come and just have an open conversation, be like, we're going to talk about today. No, you have to have a plan, because if you don't come with a plan, then you won't know that whether that meeting's been successful or not.
Exactly.
And most of the time when we're speaking to our mentees, like they're looking towards us to lead the conversation. So we have to come with energy. We have to come with purpose, information, all of that. So when we've come off our fifth meeting and it's like what, not even 5 o'clock yet. And our
or
brains
how many
are,
calls, or doing the boring tasks like sorting out the gas, electric. Like people don't realize.
Tedious
Imagine having to sort out your gas and electric every other month because something is happening. Like I know people do go through this situation because sometimes they have a leak in the house and it's like, impacted how much they're spending. But we literally, if we take on a new property, the amount of things that need to be done, I haven't even set up group chats. I feel so behind on my tasks, but no one will ever get it unless they're living it. Do you know another a part of that as well is people who are actually in property who don't respect our time. So I've had people who've messaged me whilst knowing I'm on holiday, and I've been like, I'm on holiday, I'll get back to you. And then I get the stupid, when they just send you question marks?
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. I think it's just so rude.
Yeah.
I think it's so, like, and also I'm not obligated to respond.
I think even if you wasn't on holiday, really and truly, like
I'm not obligated to respond. I'm helping you.
Yeah.
I'm literally helping you. So you let me take my time with helping you. Like I don't need to be in a rush because you're in a rush, And like I wouldn't expect that for us as well. Like if I'm asking you for help, I wouldn't expect you to get back to me straight away and be like, oh yeah, let's schedule in a call. Like whilst we like to do that, and that does happen, like we've spoken to people on Instagram plenty of times and like within like 24 hours we're on a call with them. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know, I just feel like sometimes people in property who I would expect to understand the most, just feel like we are obligated to help them because we've like maybe surpassed the goal that they're trying to achieve, or like I don't know, when we're speaking to people who've done it all, like, Nana, like I would never expect him to just answer me tomorrow. Nana already knows I'm bad with my phone, but I would never expect him to just answer the phone because
you ask a question and at some point when he's ready
available,
and he's available.
He will you know what I mean? He's very good with his phone, so he's a bad example. But do you know what I mean? I would never expect people So unless we've had some sort of agreement, verbal agreement, like this is urgent, and, you know, if I message you, are you going to be able to get back to me on time because that's why I've chosen you?
Yeah.
And you don't get back to me, that's different. But if I'm just helping you off, like, goodness, like, do you know what I mean? Like, patience.
Yeah.
So I find that really difficult, and that's quite hard to juggle. Another thing with, I don't know if you struggle with this kind of balance, but not taking things personally within business.
In what sense?
So I saw a reel or some sort of video on Instagram, and I think it was Pharrell giving advice to some, I don't know who the guy is.
I never did that, to be fair. So.
He might be someone famous.
Yeah.
But I didn't know who it was. But he was giving some advice and saying, never take anything emotionally, like within business. Like, never ever. He's like, be emotional about the personal stuff in life, like things like funerals
and
or
births.
Yeah, births, things that like require emotional response.
Yeah.
But outside of that, don't become emotional within business. I think personally that's something I struggle with a lot.
Yeah.
But is that something that you feel that you struggled with? And if so, do you think you're getting better at it, or do you think it's getting worse now you're meeting more people and kind of seeing people in different lights, I guess?
I feel like it's never been, it's obviously like property is like a people business. So in order to, you know, get any desired outcome, you need to lean on the emotional side to some degree. So that's been a learning curve for me. But however, like, I do fully agree with what he was saying in terms of don't be too emotional because it can affect your thinking.
Yes, for sure.
And I feel like in an attempt to be more emotionally aware, especially to try and speak to you or to try and relate to what you're saying, I feel like my emotional awareness at times could just be off. So I might be annoyed at something that someone's done, and I don't actually need to be annoyed about it because it's actually not a thing. And I'm even looking at you like, why are you not annoyed at this? Do you know what I mean? But then it's not something that I would normally be annoyed at.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's very hard.
So
it's great advice.
It's trying to sort that. Yeah, it's trying to get into that mode of things and be able to understand exactly how to maneuver in those situations.
Yeah, I think it's really good advice. It's really, really good advice. I'm not there yet. I don't think I'll ever be there. That's a really good question, actually. I don't know. I don't know if I've just trained my mind to take a lot of things personally. But the reasons that I would moan would be because... Was that you signaling to me about the time?
You're not supposed to...
Sorry, was I not to say? I was confused. Because you paused my brain, innit? You pressed pause on it.
Yeah.
My bad. Sorry. No one saw it. No one heard it.
Resume. Press play.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I feel like I don't know why I take things so personally, but I think I just programmed my brain, which is actually a really narcissistic trait if you think about it, that everything's about you. And it's actually not about me.
We're getting down to the...
It's really not about me.
But therapy?
It is, as always.
Okay,
but and that's something I've got to train my mind and like be accountable for, is that it's not always about you, and actually no one cares.
So how does that make you feel?
It makes me feel like, yeah, I thought I was the star and I'm not. I think that's what it comes down to. I've got to really retrain my brain to be like, because a part of it's like anxiety provoked.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm always in state of panic.
Yeah.
I'm never like fully relaxed. So the anxiety thoughts come to me like, oh yeah, they must be, or it must be that thought.
Yeah.
And actually that's just assuming, and I'm actually not anybody's head to assume that that's what they mean or that was their intention, unless they verbally tell me this was what I was doing and this is why I said that. You're actually never going to know. So I actually need to retrain my mind to understand, like, not to take things personal, but also it's not about you. You're not your hair's uneven. You're not that nice. Do you know what I mean? Like,
dusty.
You look dusty. Like, it's actually not about you.
Do you know what? I learned a word last year, and it was a word that it aligned with my logical thinking and the reason why I try not to take things too personally or why I don't take them personally straight away. And the word was called somber, and basically... SOMBRE. I'm guessing.
Okay, cool.
I learned it from one of my friends, and it basically meant that whatever you're going through, everyone else is going through as well. So if someone, again, like for me, if someone was pestering me on holiday about, do you have X, Y, and Z? Yeah, I wouldn't take it personally because they're probably thinking about the reason why they need it.
Yeah.
And so much to the point where they're not thinking about anyone else, and we're all guilty of that. Being in our own bubble. Do you know what I mean? So that's my reason why I never take things personally unless I feel like you're coming for me. Do you know what I mean? And
I can get that. Yeah. I think, it's definitely something I've got to work on 100%. But at the end of the day, I also know that I love helping people. It's just a good feeling, really, isn't it? But I just think a part of that it has to be, not with no boundaries, but with no limits, which I think is two different things. That I want to be able to help people with no limits. I just have to be able to put in my boundaries without feeling bad about putting in those boundaries. And understand that somebody else isn't responsible for putting in those boundaries. I am. So if they're messaging me on holiday, just being clear, like, I want to help, but I can't because I'm here and I will get back to you soon. Rather than being pissed off at the fact that I've been interrupted and like I keep getting messages from the same person asking the same thing. But it's interesting. I feel like being in business recently has made us really think about the personal and how they work together or work against each other at times. But for those who want to know, as a final is it final memoir?
It can be whatever you want it to.
Thank you. If you ask me if I'm getting married one more time, I'm going to say, ask your mum.
Hey, quick question. Who do you think will get married first, me or you?
Stop being stupid before I knock you out. Don't be silly. Do not be silly. Do not be silly. That's stupid. That's a stupid question. That's a stupid question for a stupid person. Do you understand?
What?
Anyway, bye.
But there's nothing else.
I have no final thoughts.
All right, cool. That's it. We're out.